What's up, WWE Champions Universe? Welcome to Champions Chat, the fastest growing podcast dedicated to WWE Champions mobile app. I'm the American Nightmare, Rusty Graves, and with me, as always, is Gold Dust, Lee Brown. What's up, Lee?
Ooh. Hey. I was going to do something different. It's Friday the 13th on this podcast here. If you're listening in the future, it's a different date. But hey, Gold Dust, not quite a horror character, but we're close, right? We got the costume vibe going. Very Halloween.
Gold Dust is pretty freaky deaky, pretty spooky. You know, he did a
It
lot of
could be.
he did a lot of stuff that messed with a lot of people's minds.
That's right. That's right. Well, and with us today for the second time on the podcast, first time being a second time guest, we have Iron Sheik. So, Iron Sheik, would you do your classic introduction for us?
Yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's I, IronSheik84, and we're here for some WWE Champions action.
Yeah. Oh, and this is the first time we got you on video. So last time around it was voice only. This time we get to see your awesome Bret Hart shirt. So Bret Hart, when you're Iron Sheik, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So for those who may not know, I'm actually from Afghanistan originally. I grew up here in the States, hence why I don't have an accent when I tell people that. But yeah, when I was in high school, my nickname was Sheik, partly because of just Arab things that pretty much everybody else knew that, and also a big fan of Zelda, even though I'm not a girl, but yeah, and then just Iron Sheik kind of stuck because in the world of wrestling, I didn't know very many other people from my area of the world, so I was like, yeah, Iron Sheik, there you go. But yeah, Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time. He is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. I know everybody likes different forms of wrestling. Some people like brawling. Some people like I've heard it termed as the flip-de-doos, which I do enjoy quite a bit as well. But yeah, technical wrestling is what I like, and I've always thought Bret has been the best at it.
That's awesome. So tell me, those who are listening on audio, I'll describe it, but how offensive is this Goldberg action figure sitting on my shelf to your sensibility, Sheik?
Okay, so I'm not as bitter towards Goldberg as Bret Hart is. My critique on Bill is I don't know. I mean, I'm sure other people can say this too, but basically he was like, oh, the WWE's terrible for 10 years, 15 years or whatever after his initial run. And then he came back kind of I don't want to go into a long tangent, but I think that he tainted Brock's win over Taker by defeating him in 30 seconds and then also taking the title off of, was it KO or Bray? I'm blanking right now.
It was KO.
Yeah, it was KO.
Yeah. Well, he did take it off Bray as well. It was different, the red versus the blue universal, but yeah.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I was kind of he came back and then, he was, he wrestled once a month or, whatever, and then rode off into the sunset, burying everybody on the way out. So that's my take on Goldberg.
Nice.
Lee, were you a WCW guy, Lee? I mean, were you a Goldberg fan, or did you follow that run?
Oh yeah,
I did.
So I know people have different things going on. Well, when I say different things, I'm sorry. What I meant was I know some people didn't have cable or whatever, growing up, and then depending on where you were in the US, some people got TNT, some people didn't. But yeah, sorry. So what happened is I was always a WWE guy. So what I would do, especially with Nitro, is I would watch the first hour of Nitro, then I turned to Raw, and then when Raw was in commercials, I'd turn over to TNT, watch what's going on, and then like check back every couple of minutes, jumping the channel back and forth. And then what is it? They used to have like the Saturday shows and whatnot on WCW. So yeah, I watched both, but kind of when the Attitude Era like really took off, I just became less and less of a WCW guy and more of a WWE guy. And I think even in like the last like year or two, like whenever Vince Russo did that infamous reboot and everything, I was just like, this is trash. I don't care. I'm not watching this.
Yeah, yeah. So I grew up with WWEF, whatever, in the 80s Legend era stuff, and then I stopped watching wrestling entirely. And then my buddy Jim, we live in Casper, Wyoming. WCW was coming for Thunder, and my buddy Jim had us all go. So got introduced to Goldberg that way. But Sheik, you mentioned Saturday. So we went, the last show I ever went to of WCW was again in Casper. It was a Saturday show. Booker T, Harlem Heat comes out. Booker T gets on the microphone and goes, Casper, Wyoming, what's up? But on WCW Saturday morning or whatever, if you watch the video, it goes, Casper, Wyoming, beep. And then the announcer goes, can you say that on television? And I was like, hey, I was there for that. He said, what's up? That is not, what were they trying to do there? So whatever.
It was a work. And there's a lot of that going on. But you know what's not a work is our new 3-minute moveset videos that we've been putting on YouTube. And I've noticed this. Lee has actually been chiming in on Facebook boards where people are like, new wrestler, how should I run him? Is he any good? And then Lee will just respond with a, check this out. This is how you run him. And so a little plug, we're going to ask Sheik to plug his channels a little later, but I thought this was a great time to just drop in while we can see the analytics that most people are listening in these early minutes. We want to just say, go on YouTube, look at our WWE Champions Chat channel and check out our 3-minute move sets and share them with your faction. Like, be the guy who actually posts them in Discord because he's so tired of those questions. Any good? Is he good? Just start peppering your Discord with our 3-minute move sets so that people don't have to ask those questions every time they get a pull. Back to you guys.
No, you're good. I appreciate the shout, and hopefully we'll co-brand some stuff with Sheik coming up here because I love the community that forms around this. Great J-Man's got some great stuff out there. Cerzoro's got great stuff out there. Sheik has some amazing content out there. So yeah, early plug for all that. Go check out everything Sheik does. But Sheik, so we talked last week about Zombie Month, and for most people, this is the favorite month in the entire game. Free-form content for a minute. Just tell us, what are you thinking about this year's zombie adventure?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for the zombie adventure is you should go to youtube.com/Champions Chat podcast and subscribe. It's free, and make sure to check out that content. So that's the first thing that I think of every single time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You know what? We should give you a nickname, Sheik. Like if I was the American Nightmare and Lee was Goldust, you should have the honor of being the American Dream. IronSheik84.
Thank you, baby. I like being funky like a monkey. Pumpkin head.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, the state of the game right now. So I always try to be positive when it comes to anything in life. So in general, look, one of the things I always say, and I know I'm not specifically saying this for the game, but just people have their own struggles. People have things going on that they may not articulate to everybody. So I try to focus on positives rather than just automatically go to the negatives. Because if I do that, I'm going to be miserable all day, right? That being said, I know when the MLC came out, people were livid, oh my God, Cody Rhodes isn't good, and this and that, and you did this, and you changed that, and this is, again, I'm not saying it's not valid, but one of my big contention points has always been wait and see how it gets released before you complain or throw start grabbing your pitchforks and torches and say I'm mad about something. It's certainly been a weird week or 2 weeks so far, in the sense that taking away, limiting the amount of trivia that you can do, and then also on top of that, taking away the MLC points in the webcoin store has been kind of odd. And this is just more of like a side note, but like I said, you're limiting trivia and you're taking away the points and doing the what is it? The scavenger hunt. Sorry, I just for some reason mind blanked on that. And then like the webcoin totals on those have been kind of crazy. I don't know if you've noticed. So it's kind of weird, again, I kind of want to see how the rest of the month plays out to kind of give my ultimate 2 cents on like, hey, this was great, or or give the thumbs down on how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheik, do you think this being a 5-week MLC, is there an effect on what we're seeing in the first 2 weeks? Is that something to keep in mind, or does that bear no relevance?
So to me, like, this is just a me thing. Like, I've always thought the 5-week months are a little bit easier to max than the 4 weeks. Because we typically get like one extra midweek event. So usually, and I'm not gonna lie, what happens is, like when it gets to like week 3-ish, or we go into the final weeks, especially since I'm on a more free to play journey, not completely, like I said, not completely cutting it out, but I just do starter pack and the $5 packs every weekend. What happens is, like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm not gonna keep up with the pace, I'm not gonna max the MLC, and then they release a midweek event where you get like a gazillion points, and I'm just like, oh, like, what was I freaking out about for no reason?
Right. Yeah, I think the 5-week in general adds a little bit extra. But so one of the things I've mentioned, and we can talk. I want to talk Cody before we get off this subject. But one of the things that is like the few like negative commentaries I have on the game right now, period, is I do not like this trend. They've done it 2 months in a row where 1 week does not have any MLC solo points at all. And I'm a little nervous because a 5-week, that'd be the easiest one to justify and be like, hey, yeah, this week just doesn't have solo points. And it's like, that's the thing that most of us chase. Like at least 5,000 people a month chase the solo MLC. And when there's not points, it's like, oh, what are you doing? What do I do with this week? I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's kind of like just stemming it back to like my thing is that, like, oh my god, they didn't put any MLC points this week because by the way, shout out to Sapper Jedi, aka Sap Daddy Gaming. Love that dude. Every month he releases that chart, the pace chart that he does. So what happens is, like, you have the 1 week of no, like, like you said, of like no MLC points. So you take a look and you're like, oh my god, I'm behind. Like, I'm so behind, and then, like I said, by the end of it, I'm just like, oh, what did I worry about? I was like, I have plenty of points. But it's, it certainly does, like, it's one of those like perception is reality things where you're like, oh my god, I'm not gonna do it, and then you freak out about having to spend money potentially.
Right. Well, this last MLC with Nikita, that was Rusty's first MLC to max. So we've been working with him on, hey, how do we get this going? Because Rusty wants a Cody Rhodes. In fact, I have no Stardust. I have no Tech Cody. I have no Striker Cody myself either. I would like my first Cody Rhodes, but when this MLC came out, there was a subset of the community that was saying Cody is just not good enough as a Chase character, which is interesting because they also reworked the Tech Cody that finished the story when he came out. So this is the second Cody in a row that they've like made lesser in people's eyes and then changed. So talk to me about where you thought he was now that they made the changes. How you feel about this Chase character, even though none of us have him on our roster yet. There's a dude in our faction who does, but that's it, right? You know.
There is one guy in my faction that does have him already. But yeah, so code sometimes, like, you know, a character doesn't have to do 70 million damage turn one for him to be phenomenal, in my opinion. You know, there's multiple different play styles in this game. People like one thing over another. I like the double sub setup personally. I mean, is it going to be turn one? No, but that's like the kind of gameplay that I like personally. But I will say this: the whole like lose 75% of your health in order to do more damage. Okay, and this has nothing to I'm sure this will come up a couple of times. It has nothing to do with the weenie in a mask, the WCW version of it. So with people's gameplay, I've never been a fan of the you have to pin me in order for me to do XYZ. So like I know, for example, that Karrion Kross does a boatload of damage and sets up stuns and whatnot when you pin him. It's just like I said, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like, like I got Ezekiel, and I don't think I've used him outside of outside of the tour one time. If I have, no clue, but you know, like I said, the whole like pin me to do XYZ, I don't like that. So that's, if I had to give like what I don't like about Cody, that's my thing, is like, okay, yeah, not crazy damage turn one, but I'm also not like big on I have to lose a certain amount of health in order to do something. And I have like I have over 160,000 health packs, so it's not like I have an issue like re-healing them afterwards. It's just it's not my, like I said, it's not my style of gameplay.
It's not your preferred. No, I get you. I get you. I wonder because, like, for example, the first preview I saw was Merrick's, and before they changed him, he was doing 6-7 million on the triple red set turn one, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, it's underwhelming. I'm like, how's that under? I mean, 7 million. Granted, 6 silver is blah blah blah. You know, you can get up to 20 million with some of your showboats. But then when they upped it, he's now at like 11 or 12 million with his change turn one, and I'm just thinking like that's good. Like my Triple H Hall of Fame 6-star silver with the Piper plate is only doing 14 to 16 million. So I mean, yeah, that's another leap beyond, but it's not that big. Like we're not talking. I mean, like you said, there's characters like William Regal, like KO, you get the right setup with Relentless, and they can hit, you know, infinity damage turn one, turn two. But for the most part, I think anybody that hits in that 5 to 10 million is basically pretty good at 6 silver, 6 bronze, you know, especially. And then you got Becky, who's coming out this weekend, and she's hitting 30, 40, 50 million turn one. So you have just that different class of characters, I feel like. But Rusty, let me ask you this. How would you have felt if your first Cody Rhodes, let's say you max this MLC, your first Cody Rhodes is the one that everyone is dogging on, is the bad Cody Rhodes? What does that make you feel, Rusty?
I would have been grateful because I love Cody. I would not have had any animosity towards Scopely. I would have felt like I worked hard all month and I got the fruit of my labor in getting the Chase character, and I would have worked him up. I would have tried to, you know, look for the best trainers, best skill plate, and been super excited about Cowboy Zombie Cody. And I would have been none the wiser. I'll just, and you've heard us say this a few times. You guys have mentioned Mirix already. If you are listening to this show and you're on the Mirix server, you need to cut it out. You need to, first of all, you need to write a formal apology to Mirix for being a brat and causing our guy to retreat a little bit for his own sanity. We love Mirix, and we love this game, and we love Cody Rhodes. So maybe I'm the old curmudgeon sitting on the porch right now, griping at kids
Thanks,
to get off his
Dad.
lawn, you know. But it's like that's where I'm just like, I have played this game for years, and it has never been as good as it is right now. I'm not going to complain about a cool cowboy zombie Cody when I vividly remember the days of being stoked about getting Trickster Miz's gear and what that was going to do for my 3-star roster. So, like, the days of power creep are happening. We can't expect every new character to be more powerful than every other character, or this game will implode. And none of you listening will ever get a win again, because the creep will outpace you, it will outspend you, it will outreach you, and you'll be going, this sucks. All I do is lose. I get on the champions and I go to showdown and I just lose and I lose and I'm so sad and wah, I'm a baby. I need to complain. I need to get on Mirix's. I need to get on Twitch with Mirix and complain in the chat. Wah, I'm a baby.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, and I mean, like, here's the thing, Rusty. Like, I agree with you. Again, like, you know, I hate to keep circling back to, like I said, you know, when like a showdown comes up and it's like, hey, you have to use this specific thing. I don't take a look at my roster and immediately go, oh man, I don't have that one OP guy to do it. Oh, okay, I'm complaining, blah, 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 blah. You know, like, what I do is I take a look and I'm like, okay, who can I use the most effectively to, you know, like, to move forward? So, for example, when they have like the Attitude Era requirements, so like, I took a look at my roster and I was like, okay, well, I have Memrock at 6-star, but, you know, when you have, like, you know, when you have trap gems and this and that, you know, you're at the mercy of, like, the RNG gods, right? So I took a look and I was like, okay, well, hey, look, here's my Z Austin. I was like, I can, if I were to put Hollywood Hogan, which I got for free from the you know, from the Showdown store, and, you know, I put Dusty Rhodes on there. You know, I get my purple stun ready turn 1, and I'm like, okay, 1 match, boom, put him in a stun loop, and then I switch him to, you know, I just keep him in a perpetual stun loop until I could tag in my OP character, and then bam, I would just, like, you know, just hammer him into the ground at that point. But yeah, but like I said, but you know, it's like, and that's what I would do, but I wouldn't go and say, oh man, I don't have Big Papa Pump. Ugh, all right, fine, I'm not going to do the showdown period, you know, or anything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What you've just demonstrated, Sheik, is what makes the game fun. That you have to strategize, that you have to think, that you have to collaborate with your faction, that you have to be creative, and that you can't just throw money at the problem and assume it's going to fix everything, right?
Yeah, because it'll only fix the problem temporarily. Because, all right, like, let's just say, you know, I go spend $1,000 on pulls and I get Big Papa Pump and I put the resources into him. Great. Okay, well, then next week when I need a new gen and I'm in the same boat, then what am I going to do? Keep throwing, you know, like I said, keep throwing money at the problem until it's solved? That's not the way to handle things.
Yeah, and if you get creative in the game too, you find, like, okay, let's go back to the Cody thing just real quick. A lot of people said, hey, Cody's not that great. One, what, 10 people in the game have him right now anyway. Two, he hasn't been in the wild for very long. Three, there's always new trainers, there's always new plates coming out. So my example goes back to Tech Shamrock, right? I missed Tech Shamrock. That was one of the months, you know, I maxed most MLCs. I didn't max Tech Shamrock's MLC. And then when I got him, I hit you up and you said, hey, check out this build that I forget who it was, Sap Daddy or somebody had put out, and it was like this is good. Well, when Tech Shamrock came out, everybody was like, "Oh, this Chase character sucks." And then somebody figured out a build trick, and everybody all of a sudden switched to that and was like, "Yeah, he's really good. Guys, look how good he is." You know, it's like that same thing. Like you get a character, and everybody's like, "This is terrible," and then somebody, usually Cesaro, figures out the right plate combination, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, I wish I'd gotten him. Oh, wow. Now I need this." And, you know, it just kind of plays into that negativity bias we've talked on here a lot of times. But, you know, enjoy what you've got, use what you've got well, and then every once in a while, not jealous Sheik, you hit Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, yeah.
Just every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, like, yeah, exactly like you said. So like two quick examples I can give. Hall of Fame Andre, absolute garbage. Drip plate comes out, 10 out of 10.
Right.
And
God
then
tier character.
Exactly.
Right? When they announce him.
Tier. Yeah. And then also take a look at Eric Bischoff. People wrote him off. I mean, he's got an infinite, and it takes 7 hours to beat a 3-star gold with it, but you know, you can do it. But then I forgot exactly who it is, and apologize.
Master Jim.
Yeah, he figured out that one combo, and then everyone is like, "Oh my god, he's awesome!" You know. And I know that whenever Christmas or whatever rolls around, people are going to go nuts trying to get his gear to do that setup.
Yep, absolutely. So we just never know. Go ahead, Rusty.
I was just saying, I think if you're out there listening right now and you would take some of the things that Lee and Sheik are saying to heart, not only would it help you in the game, I think it would actually help you as a person. Like I think like we're talking about like concepts like gratitude, concepts like patience, concepts like creative thinking. Like you will actually be a better person if you listen to what these wise sages are saying right now beyond the game.
Yep, that's right. We've talked about this, and I talk about it a lot, but just look up the curse of the lottery, right? The curse of the lottery is that people who win the lottery, by and large, end up depressed, suicidal, disconnected, isolated, and just worse off for where they were, because the thinking is, when I get Carmelo, like when I get the new Showboat Undertaker, when I get Big Papa Pump, that will finally change everything, right? But the reality is things like that, the power creep, the money, the instant fame and success, whatever it is that we're searching for in life, right? It just turns up who you already are louder. So if you were disconnected before you got that big influx of money, all of a sudden now you're more disconnected. If you were depressed before you got it, there's going to be that little hit of dopamine, and then you're going to get even more. It just turns you up louder.
I just want, so let me pose a question to you, and we'll turn a corner here. It's like, I'd love to hear Sheik, Lee, I'll share something, but like, what are you really enjoying in the game right now? Like, what's the most fun thing when you open Champions and when you go and you're like, yes, today is the day for this thing. What is that?
Okay. My favorite thing is always finding out the way to cheese the strategy on something. So, and if you ever want to know the best setups to beat said tour or whatnot, make sure to go to youtube.com/champions chat podcast and check out the 3-minute video so that you can figure out how to beat these tours on your own as well.
Okay, listen, I think
we're not paying him for this, I swear.
Yeah, I was going to say, I first of all, I think you've gone from guest to like one of the team over the last 30 plus minutes. I think you're official now. I think there's been a merger of brands, and we'll see where all this goes. But I bet our content subscribers would probably love to see more of you on our channel.
Oh yeah, the teams we run with, they love Sheik. In fact, I got a DM yesterday. A couple people every week are like, "Hey, when's the podcast coming out?" Because sometimes it's Thursday, sometimes it's Friday, and then the other thing is like, "Hey, and what's going on this week?" I'm like, one, it's cool that they care, right? But so yesterday got somebody text that said, "Well, Sheik's coming on again," and just immediate response, not even hesitation, was, "I freaking love Sheik." I'm like, yeah, we do too.
Yeah.
So there
Well,
you go.
I told you, like, here's the thing. I love streaming. I love making content. I enjoy this game a lot, and I enjoy the community because, if it wasn't for the fact that I get to chat with such great people, I wouldn't care about this game. And, like, I would just do my own thing and, call it a day.
Yeah,
Maybe we could call
like,
ourselves the unofficials, right?
Yeah.
We're the unofficial content creators. And
there you
that's who
go.
we are. We've
Oh, yeah.
banded together.
Yeah.
A new faction.
But like I said, what am I enjoying about the game currently? Like I said, I like figuring out, strats on how to beat people. So, um, like with Rock, for example. So I know not. So you know how everybody got that free Foley plate
Yeah.
a while back. So I came up with like kind of an unorthodox way of beating his tour, which I know this probably would have helped out last week, but if you're still you still got time to do this. So maybe I'll put this in the 3-minute move set, but basically what I did was the setup that I did with the finisher was if you break 6 black gems, you create the power gems, correct? So
Right.
instead of working towards breaking like purple gems and whatnot, you get the 6 MP boost. So I was just like, okay, hey, I'll just do the finisher turn 1, put in a trainer that produces, that makes extra black gems jump on the board. So then I would be like, break, 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 do the 6, and then I would use the remainder, to do more purple gems. And then, you hit the finisher, the power gems appear, opponent kicks out, does their turn, and then everything that you do after that does power gem damage. So like I cleared it with a breeze because I was just like, hey, this is so much easier than like trying to use props and put people in infinite stuns that do 6,000 damage a turn. So like that's why I use like my analogies of like, oh yeah, it takes 7 hours to beat somebody, but hey, it works.
You could do it. Yeah. Well, it's like Rusty went on a cruise a few years ago, and I know almost exactly when it was because it was the KO month. And Rusty and I've talked about like he has KO now, but he missed that and that. Yeah. Anyway, it was a fun story. But that was the time he was on the cruise. He's like, "Hey, I can't play the game. Can you log in for me and just do these?" And it was during Austin 316 event, and so I'm literally holding 2 devices in my hand. One is my phone, and one of is like a Kindle or something. I'm running Rusty's account, and I have stun lock going on each one because you had to beat a 6-star. And I think I had like a 4-star or 5-star at best, Zombie Austin, and it was literally just stun over here, switch hands, stun over here, switch hands, stun over here. But I won both of them for us, right? It was great. So I think the thing for me, we've kind of hit on it a couple times. It's not even necessarily in the game itself, but I think for me, it's the community, right? I mean, any game that can build up a community is gonna survive, no matter how good, bad, or other it is. Like my son, he got a VR, and so he plays Gorilla Tag on his MetaQuest, and like he goes on that game all the time. But it's really to get the people together to hang out. You hear him like, "Hey, run over here, let's do that." It's kind of that kind of thing. And then similar to this, I will say though, something unique to this last month for me is we weren't producing any YouTube content, right? So, Sheik, this. You've been living that life for some time now, but I had to, like, normally I do my talent up on my break at work, right? And I'm just like, woo, I did it. I had to wait till I got home so that I could record the content so that I could put out the content. But let me tell you, this was my most fun talent up because I don't know who. I mean, it's got some views on it and stuff, but I don't know who's watched my 45-minute maxing the talent up video. But whether or not you watched it, I just enjoyed the heck out of making it. I mean, I can do the gift to gab thing too, and just talking for 45 minutes on random junk on that video, I thought was so fun. And so getting to be an unofficial here together. It's just fun making content, seeing what people like, and seeing what catches on. Some people, are going to enjoy the short form 3-minute videos. Some people are going to go for those long videos. Sheik, I watched your talent up the other day while I was chilling, getting ready for bed and stuff. Like, it's just fun. It's a good community, and we just, I think, enjoy getting to hang together, even though it's Discord comments here and there and YouTube videos here and there. Like, it's a loose community, but it's a fun gathering too. So, my thoughts.
Oh, yeah. I agree completely.
Is it to me? Here's what I'm enjoying in the game right now and having the most fun with is we had some new guys come into our faction, and it feels like they really breathed a fresh wind into it. They had some experience from other factions. They were leaders. They were just tired of being leaders. They wanted to just have fun with the game again. But they brought in ideas that we had never used or utilized and seen before. So we got to use a new set of tools that they brought with them, like a moveset server. We're starting to set up like roster coaches, like a formal like coaching system where if you're a free to play player, you're going to go to this one room and get some help from these coaches. If you're more of a big spender, you're going to jump over here and get some help from these guys that are spending a little bit more in the game. And all that to say, it just feels like we're kind of walking tall right now as a faction with some new blood and getting along and having fun. And also, some of those guys have helped us push. We were all the way up to number 2 overall in the kickoff contest, and it was like we were actually in front of Woken for like a good over a day, and it was like, this is insane. Like, what is happening right now? So we dropped and didn't finish the contest in that spot, but we had a couple of guys that made it into the top 10 of the kickoff event, and some really cool scores. All that to say, this is a social game, and if you're not having fun with the people you play with, come to our faction, Toxic Mafia. We're having a good time. Join Sheik's faction. Find some guys you like, and have some fun with them. Break gyms together, collaborate in Discord, and build something special that you look forward to playing at the end of the day. Are there some? Maybe the next question is this: Hey, Sheik, what are you and your faction doing that you think is just kind of cool? Maybe other factions out there could learn from you guys some of the strategies that you've been utilizing.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I know you didn't mention it. So my factions, you're on the list. We made it, it's been in the game for a long time. So I know Jericho's not in WWE anymore, but we've slowly done like the creep, when I joined 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was at this point, we were right outside that cusp of 100, and then when I joined, they hit the top 100 naturally, because I was that it factor that pushed them over the top. It also took. Also, I remember one of my favorite things is Great J-Man. When I first joined, he was just like, "Oh yeah," me and a friend had joined at the same time, and since then he's left the game, but. He was basically like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you next faction feud," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd like to see you try." So I was number 1 on scores for the longest time, and so I'd always like hold it over his head and be like, "Oh hey," I was like, "Where are you?" "Oh, I'm number 1 from the top of the mountain. I think I can see you at 11."
Nice.
But yeah, we usually we do the 1%, rules on most on all non-spend events. So like what we mean is, when you have like the faction events that are like literally you can't grind it out. You can't get points doing XYZ. The only way you can win is by, they can move up is by spending money. We were like, look, you want to spend, that's on you. You don't want to, you're good. I have never forced anybody to spend money in this game as a faction leader, nor will I. So that's just adding my 2 cents in there. But yeah, besides the 1%, what we've been doing lately is we use Discord. I know some people use Facebook groups, some people still use Line. We used to use Line, and then I kind of I drew a line in the sand. I was just like, I don't want to use Line anymore. Discord. I was like, everybody's got 30 days to move over, please. Everybody moved over within a couple of days, and I was like, oh, thank God. But what we've done is we've created channels for strikers, powerhouse, and whatnot. So a lot of our people are do have the OP move sets because they are the top spenders. So Lurch is one of them. I'm sure a lot of people have seen Lurchy 119 at the top of the boards every weekend. So we've created our own OP move set channels. And on top of that, we also have the, hey, how do you want to cheese it? This is how you do it.
That's really cool. I pulled you guys up in the portal right now. And yeah, wow. You mentioned Lurchy. I was looking at his roster just now, and it was the dream. We all have the dream roster. And I was like, oh my gosh, Ministry of Darkness, 6-star silver. Rocker Sean, 6-star silver. Anyway, I'll stop. I'm coveting another man's property right now.
But it looks he's over 12 mil right now. So yeah, he's definitely he's got the dream roster. But the one thing I will tell you, so he's probably gonna hate me for this and probably curse me out as soon as he figures this out. I have Jim Duggan and I have NWO Sting. So anytime we have a roster thing, he's like, oh, blah, 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 this. I'm like, oh, hey. I was like, Lurch, how do you run Duggan again? And, oh, yeah, I have this set up and I needed a +2 on red, so I used NWO Sting. Can you do that too?
That's nice.
Man, I'm telling you though, it's the community, it's the banter, it's the fun that just makes the game even better. But I'm jealous of NWO Sting, the Wolfpack. I got all the Stings except Hall of Fame and Wolfpack. And when I remember they announced the Showdown shop is now going to start producing shards of Wolfpack Sting. And I was like, hooray, I can finally get him. And 2 days later, he left and they changed it. And I was like, oh, come on. Yeah. So real quick before we transition into real life WWE wrestling, who's a character in the game that you cannot get anymore, that you don't have, that you wish you could get?
So I really wish that I had been more serious about getting Hall of Fame Booker. They remember when the original Hall of Fame came out, or the Hall of Fame month. I was just like, there'll be better Hall of Fames later on. I don't care, and that was a big mistake because I was like, oh crap, they didn't produce another Hall of Fame character for a long time. So I was just like, oh man, the one I have is terrible. What am I gonna do? So yeah, it's the characters that I can't get. So it's that one, and then also I was a big fan of Luke Harper, and I really wish I'd got his Bludgeon Brothers version. And I do know that they retooled Rocky Maivia to have the same moveset, but it's not the same when you don't have the original character behind it.
True story. Yeah, Rusty, what about you? Who are you? Let me take a guess, but who are you missing that you cannot get anymore? Not just Cody Rhodes, but that you cannot.
I was going to say Ted Cody. Ted Cody. I wish that's my biggest regret is that we were on. We did free to play, and we had Lee and I had an agreement. We won't spend this month, and then everyone got Ted Cody, and I'm sitting here Codyless still. That is my regret.
Same.
So who I can't get. okay, gosh, I don't even know if it's PC to say this, but like, I loved Enzo. Like, before they retooled and reskinned, like Enzo and like, he was so much fun to play with in that 3-star meta, and he self-healed. So he could do anything. He could be like your main guy. And I never had his gear, but like, so it would have been like the Showboat Enzo plus gear is not available. He's been reworked. I think he's Kofi. Is he Kofi now, or who is
Yeah.
he? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so he's the
Showboat
yellow
Kofi.
MP, yellow MP Kofi. But I used to love Enzo in the 3-star meta. Maybe the most fun character to play with back then.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Actually, I used to use them all the. I actually had Enzo into Akam into Kofi, but yeah, yeah, he was phenomenal. He was like the best character in the game, especially for like blitzes and stuff. Like for the longest time. And I actually also had Del Rio back in the day. So when they reskinned him into Rezar, like I have that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got both of the authors of pain. What are you talking about? But yeah, they're different cards now. So for me, the joke cheeky answer is I haven't cuddled with Ryback yet. I don't get to, and that's a shout out to the Black Pearl faction. They always make fun of Rybacks in the game, but you see that random 6-star silver Ryback show up every once in a while, and you're like, what did that person do with their life, right? What are these choices that you're making here? I'm just saying, but Rusty, you appreciate this answer. The one that I've always wanted in there is Stardust that you can't get
Oh,
anymore
I haven't.
because
I do have a Cody. I have
what?
Stardust. I
I've
have
been thinking this
Stardust.
whole time you haven't had a Cody, and you've had a Cody Rhodes sitting on your
Okay,
roster.
so that's not Cody Rhodes. That's
What?
Stardust.
Disagree.
He's a persona. He's an enigma. You know.
Mm.
He. Anyway.
Yeah.
Rusty, you are ruining my content stream here. I am making videos on our channel saying, will I get a Cody Rhodes before Rusty? Can I finish the
Yes.
story before Rusty? And you
Right.
already have a Cody Rhodes?
No, I have
You rigged
Stardust,
it.
and they're two completely different personas, completely different backstory. They're not. Stardust is not Cody. Stardust was never Cody. I just, you have to keep the kayfabe alive on some level, right?
Well, that's the only Cody that I have. I can tell you that right now. I'm glad that they finally acknowledged it too, because you remember originally when they would have like the any Cody thing, you couldn't use Stardust for the bonus, and now you can. So
Yeah, I got none of them here. I'm apparently the only person on the Champs Chat podcast right now who doesn't have a Cody Rusty.
I also would identify as Cody-less, even though there may be a Cody in disguise on my roster.
That's it. I'm changing my answer back to Wolfpack Sting. That's my favorite gimmick of his. I that's it. The quest for Cody has been solved on this channel. Just
Oh
sad,
man,
but
I'm
well,
still gonna chase the real Cody.
the zombie. So if Stardust doesn't count as a real Cody, why does Zombie count as a real Cody? Huh?
Well,
Huh?
because he's the undead version of Cody Rhodes.
Oh,
He's the sheriff who, through mysterious virus or happenstance, happened to lose coherence and develop a hunger for brains. Yeah, he's still Cody.
I see how we're playing this story here.
Totally speechless. Totally speechless.
Oh,
So the two takeaways from today are: be nice to Mirix and don't complain about the superstars you have or don't have. Right? Those are the two nice.
subscribe to
well, no,
IronSheik84 on
oh no,
YouTube.
And
I was gonna say no, you forgot. I was like, you need to go to youtube.com/Champions Chat Podcast and subscribe today.
This is great.
you're hired.
Oh,
You
you're hired.
we're gonna pay you the same salary that we draw. from this company, and there's unlimited fringe benefits.
All
Unlimited
right,
$0. Unlimited
Yeah,
$0.
zero.
Oh, so real life, Rusty. What are you thinking for WWE AEW World?
Well, okay, so I think, and I'm excited to hear Sheik talk about this, but I think WWE. I finally believe the rumor. I read it this morning, in fact, that that Triple H is officially in the seat in creative. That it is
Yep.
resolved. It is not Vince, and it is Paul Levesque, and he has creative license. And I am so excited because we saw glimpses of this and what was possible. And I still have a huge place for Black and Gold NXT in my heart in the Triple H era. It's some of the best writing, and he took virtual nobodies or indie darlings like Gargano and made them into gods and goddesses over there. I mean, just put people on the map, wrote the best stuff. And so I'm really excited to see what's possible with the emergence of Cody Rhodes and the decline of whatever the top faction, bloodline, whatever place they held in wrestling. We're starting to see the deck be shuffled. We're starting to see main roster people go to NXT. Suddenly, NXT is must-watch TV again, even to where they're trying to actively snuff out AEW and what's now the Tuesday Night Wars. It's a pretty low stakes as far as what's it like, the championships and all that. It doesn't really matter, but it's really, really good and entertaining wrestling right now.
Yeah. So I've been a little behind on wrestling only because I had some things to take care of with my little one this weekend, and in the past week in general. But yeah, the little glimpses of things that I've been able to catch here and there. Look, I know there's going to be people who are diehard AEW versus WWE things. Look, I like wrestling, period. I don't care. Women's wrestling, men's wrestling, not too big on intergender, just as a side note. But look, AEW's been doing some fantastic stuff. WWE's been doing some fantastic stuff. Although I will tell you, as a fan of Botchamania, would you all like to know what my favorite thing in wrestling's been this week?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I don't know if you I'm sure you can probably look it up on YouTube, right after you subscribe to youtube.com/champions chat podcast. So did y'all see the Raquel versus Nia Jax match?
I did not.
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. So by the way, if anybody doesn't want a spoiler, just skip ahead like 20 seconds, okay? But okay, at the end of the match when Raquel had her picked her up from the turnbuckle and had her in the powerbomb position.
Yeah.
If you look at Nia Jax when she's walking out, there's an imprint of Raquel's makeup on her gear.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's like because like you could actually see like here's face, here's eyes, here's mouth. Like that's my favorite thing in wrestling this week.
Wow. That was really good. That was actually an impressive spot by Rhea.
Oh yeah.
I mean by Raquel.
Yeah,
first of all. Super impressive.
The only person in the game who's a powerhouse that's named Powerhouse. She gets the title, right? Until so here's my thing, right? I didn't watch NXT. I still don't have that ability, but YouTube, man, I noticed you talk about the Tuesday Night War. I mean, that was a 1 week thing only, but WWE so went after AEW that within minutes of things happening on NXT, they were on YouTube, like boom. So I watched all the high points, right? But one of them, man, I'm telling you, with Cody, although he should have finished the story at WrestleMania, we've all got that, blah, blah, blah. with Cody coming in and with Jade Cargill coming in, the way that they are presenting her as like, this isn't just some developmental talent. This isn't just some AEW talent that we're going to now trash. Because when Vince got guys from other companies, I mean, just look back at the invasion angle, right? Vince literally made fun of everybody who was WCW. He booked them as if they were stupid, incapable, B, C, D level guys. Diamond Dallas Page, who was one of the best WCW champions ever, gets beat by the Undertaker's ex-wife, right? And definitively. So that's the Vince booking method. Jade Cargill comes in and immediately they treat her like a superstar. And I wasn't sure how they were going to do it. I hoped that she would get the rocket, just because, like, what does that say to the rest of the industry now? Oh, Triple H is in charge. And if you want to be taken care of, you come to the guy who points at you when you join the roster, right? And I bet I would be surprised if they don't book Jade versus Nia. And it is, Sheik, you mentioned one of my favorite matches of all time, Goldberg versus Brock. I bet you it is that Jade walks in, press slams Nia Jax over her head to the outside of the ring, and the end is here, right? And then all of a sudden, like, see this? This is what we can do for you, Ricky Starks. This is what we can do for you, John Moxley. Why don't you come see how the water is, huh?
Big
I
Bill.
think it's a big play. Yeah. Big Bill. Yeah.
By the way, just as a side note, so Ricky Starks is from Texas. He lives, I don't know if he's still in Austin or not, but dude, I love Ricky Starks. I think he's fantastic. And one of the things that I love about indie wrestling as well is, like, you know, every single show, like, I'd make it a point to talk to him and like Sammy Guevara and Eric from, you know, the Viking Raiders. Ivar actually made fun of my name once.
Oh
no. He threw it as a joke. So I know this is a PG podcast. But you know, it's like I was getting an 8x10, and he was like, you know, and he was like, you know, he was like, who do you make it out to? So, you know, like, my real name is Shams, so it was SH, and then he was just like, and then he just like yells, you remember Austin's promo about putting an S in front of the front of the Hitman, and that's what I think about him. Yeah, right. That's what he called me.
Awesome. Wow. Dude has the most beautiful moonsault I've ever seen. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, he was
Ivar.
Yeah.
He's had two amazing matches the last 2 weeks against Kofi Kingston on Raw, like 5-star matches.
Oh yeah. No, they're both great. I was so excited whenever they went. You see, here's the thing, like, I was so excited for them to go, but on the same token, I'm just like, oh man, I miss, like, seeing them wrestle in front of like 100, 150 people, and I could just like walk up to a stable and be like, hey, what's up? How's it going? You know, he went by Raymond Rowe. So I was just like, hey, Ray, what's up? You know, I miss that, you know, and I wish I could do it more often, but, you know, I'm happy for his success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm jealous of your, you know, we could now, you know, on the video version of this, but last time Sheik was on, just taking us through his album of all the people he's met and just oh gosh, it's so cool. Just so cool. Yeah. I mean, but you are in Texas, right? That is wrestling Mecca #1, if not #2, right? That's always been the territory days and on, the Sportatorium, the Flair Country Part 2, all that was right there. The Von Erichs, oh man, you gonna watch the documentary on the Von Erichs?
Not yet, but it's on the list, and I'm really looking forward to the movie coming out here shortly. I forget what the release date is, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Alexa Bliss? Have you ever shared a warm embrace with Alexa Bliss?
Wow,
no,
going somewhere.
Not yet. but I will say that, yeah, well, I don't think it's fair for her to meet me because, like, I you know, it's like she's pregnant, she's got, she's married. I think it would be unfair to her husband for her to
Right.
meet me and
Right.
know what she missed out on, and hold that
It's true.
resentment towards him for the rest of her life.
Oh, I know. Yeah, Ryan
Yes.
Cabrera, no doubt. He dated Jessica Simpson for. I mean, not he dated Ashley Simpson for the longest time. And I think he upgraded to Alexa Bliss. I think he's doing pretty good with old Lexi Kaufman. So,
Yeah.
but he's no Sheik. He's no Iron Sheik. She did miss out on that boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd be interested to see what happens with her when she comes back, because Vince clearly had no clue what to do with her for years on there. And maybe something to take us out on. One of the rumors going around is that they are going to actually go ahead with the Wyatt Six faction. They're going to have Bo continue to be Uncle Howdy. Alexa, when she comes back, is going to be a part of this, and then they'll build around and kind of maintain the Bray Wyatt legacy in that. What are your thoughts on Triple H taking us back to the Funhouse in honor and memoriam of those who have gone before?
It's
No thoughts.
Yeah, so no, it's kind of hard to say, like, one thing definitively, over the other. Uh it's you're gonna get the camp of, like, hey, they're doing, like, they're honoring him the way that, he should be honored. And then, you're gonna have the camp of, like, oh, it's not gonna be, he's not being honored enough, or why did you do XYZ? This is tarnishing the legacy of Bray Wyatt. Now I did hear that rumor as well. It's really going to have to be a wait and see with what exactly they do with them. Me personally, like, I thought the tribute that they did was great, and that's like where I personally would have ended it. But let's see. I'm always interested in seeing what happens, because when people think, like, oh, it's not going to be good or this or that, they do surprise you with something that you don't expect, and it turns out to be way better than what you hoped it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So WWE's history in the past, and again, we've talked about Triple H taking over versus Vince taking over now, is the character is this thing that is separated from the person, right? So we talked about that with Stardust. That was Rusty's argument. But think Doink the Clown, right? How, like, okay, that guy can't fulfill the role anymore. So now we're just gonna, we're gonna throw somebody else into that spot. Uh, do you think if Vince were still in charge that we might see someone else play the Fiend, versus do you think they should bring back the Fiend under a different, like, whether it's Bo Dallas or whoever, as an honorarium? Do you think that character, like similar to Doink, like similar to some of the characters that have been separated from the people, do you think that honors Bray Wyatt, or do you think that just tarnishes? It's like the direct to video version, like how they have like the Little Mermaid, and then they have like this really poorly drawn animation that you get for $3 at the video store or whatever. Like, what do you guys think on that? Rusty, we're passing to you.
Oh, so I like the possibilities there, like a lot. I like, because I even thought we were starting to see a separation between Bray and the Fiend. I thought that the Fiend might have even been on some level a spirit, or a dare I say it, like a demon that kind of haunted him or inhabited it. So like I could see even Bo like running with a story that pays um tribute, or that acknowledges that this was an evil outside of Bray, and this evil is now being taken on by another. Like that would be okay. I don't, but I think you would then have to he would have to dress different. He would have to act different. He couldn't wear, the same things and do the same things and basically just be, like you said, the direct to video. He couldn't just be a substitute cheesy fiend. I think on some level that's the story they were trying to tell with Abigail and Alexa, like that somehow that there was this spiritual evil inhabiting her that was beyond her. So I think I'd be okay in that universe with that stuff happening. But what I don't want to see is fake Diesel, fake Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's exactly.
it's almost disrespectful. No, go ahead, Sheik.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Lee. No,
Good.
that's what I was gonna say was when you asked me that question, like I didn't want to be the first one to respond, but yeah, fake Razor and fake Diesel were like the thing that I thought of immediately. Yeah, it's like I said, it's hard to like give a definitive answer here, and I'm not trying to be wishy-washy on it. Like me personally, I would say don't do it. That's me though, is that
Right.
it was encompassed in Wyndham Rotunda, and like I said, I thought the send off was beautiful and very fitting. And to me, like I would say that should be that should be it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do the Wyatt six, but that's me.
I think
It
there's
seems like they're going there, but we'll see.
Mhm.
And I was gonna say, I think there's a group of superstars that needs to be in it to legitimize what they're doing right now. And Braun Strowman could be one above all that could really benefit from becoming a heel again, embracing kind of a monster role, monster among men. Um, they've got some guys that they just what are they going to be part of, like No Way Jose's dance group? Are they going to be like a fake referee? Are they going to be security in this next bit? Are they going to be the ambulance driver? So it's like there's real talent out there needing a home, and a faction always gives talent a place to get on screen and get reps and be seen and stay in front of the fan base. So I'm all for that. I'm all for the Wyatt Six, and I'm all for guys that are just fledgling right now coming into a place of prominence again through it.
If they could use that as like a creative outlet, I mean, that was Wyndham's real life biggest thing was he was the most creative dude in the room all the time, it seemed like. And that creativity that broke from Vince's vision didn't often get embraced. It'd be interesting if, if nothing else, to honor his legacy, if they did something where those who had those creative bents, or you've got like, what is it, like Joe Gacy or some of those guys who like kind of go out there a little bit, like if that was like the, hey, we'll give you this stream, we'll give you this chance, because that's what Wyndham would have gotten. I would also say, kind of just last minute circle back to the game here. I think if I could choose anything in the game or any character to come to the game, like they've removed versions of Bray, they've removed versions of, and reskinned him when he was let go from the company. I think like that last run that he had, if they put a version into the game of that and made him definitively SS tier, like definitively one of the better characters in the game, I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be really cool. And I also think Hall of Fame ceremonies this year, I would be slightly surprised if they're not considering Wyndham Rotunda as like the headliner for the Hall of Fame. I think that would be a real honoring move. So I didn't mean to take us purely on a Bray Wyatt celebration, but we're there. Yeah. So final thoughts?
Yeah.
I've always been
yeah.
Oh, go ahead,
Sorry,
Chief.
go ahead. I was gonna say, yeah, I would be shocked if he's not in the Hall of Fame class this year. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and I've always been a Bray guy, and so it's easy to drift into conversation about him. I think he was underrated, and I like that's crazy to say, but like he's a guy that never really got as over as he deserved. And yet, when he finally did get over, it was during the lame pandemic era Thunderdome. We never really got to see what he was capable of in his healthiest state with the crowd behind him. I think he was on the cusp of that, and so we will always have that as a regret, or that'll always be something that makes us sad as wrestling fans.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, I normally do the close, but Sheik, why don't you take us out, plug your channels, and tell everybody goodbye?
All right, yeah. So as always, appreciate y'all following me on both YouTube and Twitch at IronSheik84. And also, once again, just to close us out, make sure you go to youtube.com/Champions Chat Podcast and subscribe today for some fantastic content. And as always, I appreciate y'all watching. And don't forget to tune back in for some WWE Champions action.